Hey everyone, I'm Jack, and in this video, we're going to be talking about something a little different over just booking flights and different flight tips. Today we're going to be talking about something that I find can be even more important for people who haven't traveled before. We're going to be discussing the mindset that's holding you back from traveling and why most people don't travel in the first place. I think if you can get over this, then you'll be able to start traveling more often, and you'll have a different perspective on what traveling means and why you could do it too. Often when people see me travel so much, they ask me how am I able to do it. The first thing that I always respond to them is that they can do it too. But every one of them comes up with some different excuse, whether it's because they have work or not enough money or something else that's holding them back from traveling. A lot of people think that traveling is only for people who are really rich, so that's why immediately they kind of discredit that they could do it themselves and immediately think that there must be something that I'm doing that's different from them that's allowing them to travel. In a way, that is true. I am doing something slightly different in the way that, yes, I'm using these different money saving hacks and different tips and tricks that I use to be able to travel cheaper. However, the first thing was changing my mindset about travel. But before I started traveling, I also had that belief. I grew up in a small town of 6,000 people. My family didn't really travel. The farthest we went was a few states over to visit my grandparents, but we never really took planes. I had not left the country. Before going on my study abroad, I hadn't done anything like that, so I also believed that I couldn't travel. However, once I stayed in the UK for a while and started traveling around there, I started to notice how much easier it actually was to travel, and that not every trip I went on had to be in a fancy resort or something that was going to cost me hundreds of dollars. So I think one of the first things you should definitely do is start small. Make a trip that you could do that's more reasonable. It doesn't have to be all the way across the globe where the flights are going to be the most expensive, where every time you move you're going to have to spend money. So you can start with something relatively close by. Whether that just means going to another state or taking your first flight for the first time, it's a very important step to getting into your mind that this is something you could do more often. This is not to discredit, of course, many of the excuses I mentioned earlier. A lot of them are very valid, and many people have other things in their life that may be holding them back. If your job is fully in person, then obviously you're going to have less time compared to other people to be doing some of this stuff. But however, there still are other times you can do it, and you'll have to just find out how to work those in. If you say you already have children, then your life and your way of traveling might have to be different than most other people. You're either going to have to find someone to watch your kid, which might be very difficult, or you're going to have to bring them with you, and that's going to play a factor in where you decide to travel. You're going to need to choose somewhere that also allows for kids to come with you, or somewhere that's going to be easier to bring a kid around. You're not going to be doing the same things that other people might be doing if they're, say, in their early 20s and just going with friends. The second thing being money. Other people say that they don't have enough money to travel. And while it's true that traveling is a more expensive hobby than other things, it really comes down to prioritization. You're gonna have to prioritize that traveling is a goal for you. If you don't prioritize traveling over other things, then it might not happen. But if you make that one of your top priorities, then you could start making traveling a real thing for you. An important part about this is you may have to look at your life and see what other things you could cut out from your life to make the space for traveling. Whether that be certain commitments or certain things that you pay for, maybe it's certain subscriptions or going out to eat so frequently or getting coffees from Starbucks or something like that. If you look at your life and see what areas of it are taking money, I definitely recommend tracking this. I use an app called Copilot. It does cost money. They're not sponsoring me, but I do like the features it has for looking at my money. In the past, I used Mint, which is now gone, but just using an app or something to first take a look at your life, see where you're spending your money, and try and just make a bucket of money that you're going to be using for travel. If money is tight for you, then it's something you're going to want to save up before you're going on the trip, and you're really going to have to make that a saving priority over other things. And this could be hard, and travel isn't necessarily for everyone, so you may come to realize that traveling isn't for you, and that's totally okay. But it's important to look, is this something that's really important to me? And if it is, it takes balancing your life and reprioritizing other things to make it so that you could travel. If you're, say, a college student, you're probably going to have more free time to travel over other people who are working full-time jobs. While I was in my last year of college, I was traveling quite frequently, to the point where sometimes I wouldn't show up to class to go on a trip because a lot of those classes I didn't need to. I would still just be able to do the work on my own or learn it from the textbook, and if it was something that I felt I could do that with, then I prioritized travel over the classes. And I'm not saying I recommend this for everyone. It might not be for you if you have a really hard major or something that you have to show up in person. It's of course different, but the main point of it is just that if there is other things in your life that can take a bit of a back burner for you to be able to start doing some of this traveling, it can be useful to you. Again, to reiterate on the taking small steps, I think once you take your first bigger trip, say whether it's on a plane or to a different country, then you'll just slowly start to realize like what you could do to make the traveling easier, and then you could start integrating those tips. But I think like once you do it for the first time, you're gonna have a whole different perspective on what it means to you. What did you enjoy about the trip? What did you not enjoy about the trip? What would you have done differently? When you experience these things, you're gonna be able to see that it's not as hard or as difficult as you may have thought in the past. Not all the places you go to are going to include all these really expensive places. You can choose your destinations based on somewhere that's cheaper, that you're still going to be able to have a lot of fun. And you'll notice that there are a lot of destinations like that around the world where you'll be able to have an amazing time without breaking the bank. Again, when it comes to people like asking me questions about how I travel so frequently, they'll mention that they want to go to somewhere, say Italy. And they're like, oh, I've always wanted to go to Italy, and how do you go there? The thing is, most of the people will ask me that question, I'll give them some advice, but then not many of them, after they leave, go and look into the sites I tell them about, or start looking into housing, or start looking into cheap flights. Most of them just kind of take it goes in one ear, goes out the other. And so if it's something that you actually want to do, then you're going to have to start focusing on looking into those more frequently, booking really far out in advance. And if it is a dream you have, it's something again that you have to prioritize. Like if someone provides you with some of these tips, then immediately once you leave that place, start looking into it, start booking something, or at least start writing down some links or saving the links somewhere that you could go back after to and kind of check in frequently to see when are the best times to fly, what is the cheapest airline to get to this place. If you're not doing the work outside when people are helping you with this, then traveling might not become a reality for you. But I still think the most important mindset shift you have to make is the fact that you believe you can't travel. The thing is that everyone is saying to me, like I mentioned previously, is that why am I able to travel and they can't? The first thing you have to change in your mind is that you can. Even if there are blockers, even if there are parts of your life that would make it harder, the fact that you're saying, oh, I can't do it, you're probably gonna believe that, and when you believe that, it's gonna be true. Because it's the classic saying of that the guy who thinks you can do it and the guy who thinks you can't are both right. Because if you believe that you are truly someone who can't travel, whether it be for financial reasons, whether it be for you don't have people to travel with, or you don't know where to go, all of these are questions you could get answered, whether it be through reading a book or asking people who have done it who you know, or even just watching videos like this where you hear about how you could travel easily and what tips and tricks you could use to make it easier. That is something that you have to start believing. You have to think, I am the type of person that travels. I am able to do this, and I can make the money that I need to be able to do it. I know this was a bit more of an unconventional video, but it does make me sad when I hear people saying that they're not able to travel. I know, of course, everyone has different circumstances in their life, and there may be very valid things blocking you from being able to travel, and those might have to be something that you figure out in a different way. However, I think a lot of the people who say they can't actually are able to, but they're just mentally blocking themselves from believing in themselves and thinking that they could go to some of these places. If you want to learn more specifics about how to travel, tips and tricks that I use to get cheap flights and everything like that, I definitely recommend getting subscribed. And if you want to talk directly to me or learn more from me about this traveling stuff, then you could join my free WhatsApp community, which is linked in the description down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope it helps you to start traveling a bit more. Thanks for watching. Bye.